Welcome to the Brain Software Podcast. This is episode 242, coming at you from the Hypnotic World Epicenter, Toronto, Canada. I am Fritz Thompson. That works. And today, Jeff Mandel and I are going to show you how you can undermine and destroy all of your important relationships. Or you can do the opposite and make them freaking awesome. It's up to you.
Disclaimer. Every single person we know and every single person in the world can take comfort in the fact that we really care, even if it doesn't seem that way. And we aren't really telling you to wreck things. It's just in case you don't understand irony. Lucci.
Hey, Scro, what's going down, Pouch? I've been studying a lot of Milton Erickson lately. Was going to put an embedded command at the end of this sentence, but that would be below me. But remember, there's sure to be a moment in your life when you ask the question, whatever happened to that old tranquility we used to know?
These are days of victory. So welcome to the studio, the only hypnosis instructor you'll ever need. He's our favorite high school dropout, whose IQ might have slipped into the low 150s lately. Because he is the Keith Richards of hypnosis. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Mandel.
Yes, and his show. Awesome, buddy. We got a great one today.
Let's just first of all settle that my name is not actually Fritz if you're a brand new listener, but Fritz sounds like Chris. And
if you're on acid.
I was called that hilariously at a party once a few years ago at Hypnothoughts Live. Hello, Victoria. And it stuck. So I'm Fritz and Mike is Jeff because
I kept calling you Chris in emails, but spelling it creatively, leaving out the H and then
CHRYSSE.
and then KRISSS.
Yes.
And then you just skipped all the preamble and wrote back to me and said, well, Jeff, which was brilliant, leaving out the intermediate steps, like going from chimpiness to chimp penis and all of that stuff.
That's a funny one. We'll have to tell that story later. But that's why
Jeff
we
with a
are
J.
the Fritz and Jeff show, in case you're wondering.
Jeff
all right.
with the J, with the J-O-S.
So this is a podcast that's all about, if you're a new listener, this is a podcast all about hypnosis, NLP, personal development, making your life more awesome. Today is more on the making your life more awesome by not doing all of the things we're about to tell you would wreck relationships. Now, why are we talking about this stuff, Mike?
Well, because these are life tools that people need to know how to maintain good relationships. There has been a certain sense with friends of mine that I've said, like you and I have a maintenance-free friendship.
Yes.
So does MCA and us. And Timothy.
I haven't talked to you in so long.
I know. Is there something wrong? Well, no. But to treat every relationship like they're maintenance-free is a capital mistake.
Oh, for sure. Like your marriage, not maintenance-free.
Yeah, not a good idea. That's why so many marriages go into the...
Well, imagine if you treat your marriage like it's maintenance-free, just like you treat your lawn that it's maintenance-free. The only way that works is if you're hiring someone else to do
lawn maintenance.
Lawn maintenance, keeping the weeds, mowing the lawn. If you don't do lawn maintenance, the only way your lawn is maintenance-free is if it's A, fake, and B, wait for the metaphor, you hire someone else to maintain it for you. Not a good idea in a marriage.
How's that a metaphor? Hiring someone else is not a metaphor. It's a useful thing when you have the money to do it. It's not a metaphor.
In a marriage?
Wrong. Correct.
Yeah.
All right. So basically saying his wife does all the yard work. That's the clarification in all of this.
It's not what I'm saying.
But it's what he meant.
Oh,
so
okay.
let's do our usual banter. Hey, we got that really interesting email from that guy, Marc.
Okay, yes, so before we get into content on relationship stuff, we'll do a hypnosis question.
Okay.
Marc asked, and I don't remember the exact wording, but if I paraphrase it, it was, hey, Mike, I really like your REM induction, which is an instant induction. There are many instant inductions. The REM induction is a really cool instant induction that you developed, and we teach inside of the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy. And he wanted to know if that induction, while it seems really awesome, would it be suitable if you're doing age regression with somebody, some sort of regression-based therapy? And I thought that was an interesting question because it leads into an important discussion around inductions and are there correct ones to use for certain types of therapy, et cetera?
Well, the bottom line is anything can be an induction if it's framed as that. Elman would shake hands with the person 3 times. The second time their eyes would close. Third time they go into a trance.
Yeah, or he would take 3 puffs on his cigarette.
Yeah, which is really weird.
Right.
But it's anticipation and belief mixed together. creating trance. So I think maybe Marc's question comes out of the fact that the REM induction happens so quickly.
Yeah.
Creating a PGO spike in the brain, that perhaps the depth of trance is insufficient for it. Well, we say to all our beginning students, you should invariably do a deepener of some kind anyway, unless you have the requisite skill to calibrate that you have a somnambulistic trance. And before anybody writes to us, because we don't read this stuff anyway, but if someone writes complaining saying,
read your
there is no
emails.
somnambulist, only in or out of... Yes, we understand the different models, and this is just a model we happen to be using right now.
I read the emails. I don't know about you.
I read them. I can tell which ones you're going to answer.
Yeah, I know.
Because he's the bad cop.
But totally true that. So when we get into it, a REM induction or any instant induction based upon shock, novelty, or surprise, where we're firing what we call a, well, we don't call it, it's called a PGO spike because it goes through the pons, the geniculate body, and the occiput in the brain. That's the superhighway that we describe often. It's
part of the reorientation reflex.
Yeah, the startle reflex or whatever. Somebody, and when you get someone to focus their attention and then sleep, okay, you're giving them a quick suggestion. They're going into a trance. What level of trance? Who cares? You can still deepen the trance. You can still, if you need it, like I was thinking, would induction A be useful with intervention number 15? Would induction C be useful with intervention number 22? It's kind of irrelevant because any induction will work with any intervention.
Yes, it will.
But let's say you were to think of a situation where, let's say you want to do the fast phobia cure, the NLP fast phobia cure, and as we've learned from Griffin and Tyrrell, one of the keys is to make sure the person is very relaxed. So what if you were doing an induction that required in some sort of intense movement or tensing of the body or something? That's fine. It still doesn't matter because once you're done the induction, you can still instruct the person to relax if you need them relaxed.
Completely, yes.
Right? Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
So my take is induction doesn't matter. It is not related to the intervention
I
at
think
all.
part of the thing here that may be perceived is Gil Boyne, when he did he only ever did PGO spike inductions that I know of. I watched him do them. He would yank the person towards him, haul their neck, whereas Sean Michael Andrews, our dear friend, great trainer, said the reason he puts his hand around the person's neck isn't to haul them forward, as Boyne did, but to provide a cervical collar so that they don't get a whiplash when you haul their arm forward.
And you shouldn't be hauling them really anyway. It's quite gentle. In fact, for the video viewers, do you want to just do a quick demonstration of how little force we're talking about here? So pretend we're doing like the sledgehammer induction instead, or actually, no, that's fine. A hand pull.
It's better hand pull. So I'm here. So his eyes are, open shut. Doesn't matter. I've got this to protect his neck because I'm pulling here. I don't want his head to snap back.
So you're just like do it in sort of real time with real
sleep.
Yeah, that's
like
it. There's almost nothing on my neck.
Yeah, it's the arm
and it was
pull.
just a little tug on the arm because the command sleep is going to get passed. And of course, we have rapport. You know the context is hypnosis. You don't just walk up to some random person on the subway and go like, sleep.
Or in a prison,
They're going to punch you.
In a prison, they should be.
I love how Rick Green says, you don't do that to an ex-cop. You don't just walk up and expect.
You don't do it to me either. You put your hand on my neck, I will kill you.
Yeah. So
now, the other thing is, part of this that needs to be discussed briefly is when you see Boyne do this, his shock inductions.
Carl Smith. Gil Boyne.
I don't believe he does a deepener because he really knew what he was doing. Part of the PGO spike that is often left out is it works best when you unbalance the person by taking away their equilibrium as well.
Yeah, because that creates another element of, whoa,
it does. It makes
this
it more
stuff
complete,
really comes out.
Brings in more of a kinesthetic element. And you will, because it's so quick, maybe the thought with Marc is, well, is it deep enough to work for regression?
Yeah.
That might be what he's wondering about.
That's a very valid question. So that really comes down to what should you do to prepare the person for that level of change work where you need a somnambulistic trance? And the induction is just your inroad, right? It's just the first thing you're doing. Well, suggestibility test could come before it, build interaction. Then you're going to do an induction. And according to the regular 7-step model in direct hypnosis, you're going to deepen every single time after that.
Yes.
So no problem.
That's it.
And you can throw several deepeners. You can fractionate.
Yeah,
you can
stack
do
them on top
like,
of each other.
If you're in person, you can do a shoulder press deepener. We teach, what are some of the other deepeners deepeners we teach inside of the newly released Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy.
Well, you can do the unconscious instruction to go deeper.
The nominalization
Deepener. You can even just check your work by going to the occipital trigger points in the back of the neck. And see if the person's head rolls like it's oiled ball bearings, you've got some nebulism in that
right
model.
Inside of the element induction, you've got the hand drop, whiwhich functions as a test and a
fractionation, of course.
Fractionation, we said, yes. So there's so many things
and
you
the hand
can
drop.
do.
Scary thing, I forgot you just said it.
I was thinking you're losing your mind. Okay, that's so funny. All right.
All right, buddy. Let's
gonna
talk about AOH for a minute, just because it needs to be touched on. We finished Architecture of Hypnosis last Friday as of this recording. So 6 days ago.
Yeah, November 10th was our final day and the after party, and it was
ever
amazing.
A kick-ass one. We had 42 students, which is sold out. We had 2 students from Iceland, our first. They didn't even know each other.
2 from Iceland.
2 from Azerbaijan.
2 from Azerbaijan.
Didn't know each other.
1 from Greece.
1 from Greece,
One
our
from
first.
Switzerland.
Well, we had a Swiss one,
hello,
too.
Stella. Hello,
we had
Karen.
German as well.
We had Ralph.
Ireland, of course. Lawrence, a master hypnotist, with this amazingly hilarious website. He knows what we're talking about. And we also had our usual, Isle of Man, Catherine, you said, we had a bunch of Brits, and we had our usual group of Canadians and Americans as well.
Yeah,
but it was an excellent group at our new training center, which we absolutely love.
Yes, it's fantastic.
And the next one, if you want to come train with us, we only do them twice a year.
Yeah, as of this,
I'm an elderly wizard now, and
as of this moment, we have the penciled-in dates. The hotel's locked it down for us. We haven't signed the contract yet,
Right.
so I don't want to take anyone's money to sign up until I have an actual. Just something about what my wife would call jinxing it, right? I don't want to. We don't have the actual contract signed at this moment, but I bet you by the time this podcast goes live, we will, and the dates are May 27th to 31st.
Magical thinking. And the Enneagram 6s are all over that. My wife does it too. And hers.
Oh, that if you say it, you're going to undermine
it somehow. Yeah. You're jinxing it, or you cause something bad. Like the one she has, we have a hockey house behind us. The father put in a rink with boards. The kid has a kick-ass slap shot. I had to actually have to go over there and get him to stop because you could feel the shockwave into our basement.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, it hasn't happened.
Wayne Gretzky.
It hasn't happened for a couple of years, but Heather will say, I'll say, oh, the hockey house.
Don't talk about the hockey.
And it happens again. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to talk.
Okay, that's
if it
funny.
starts again because it's gone in the podcast,
the banging
then maybe
has
she's
started.
on the banging started.
All right.
John.
Okay, so there's the AOH, the wrap. We're actually going to bring up, I think, a little later in this podcast, a couple of the things that happened during that class, interventions that were really cool.
How are we going to do that later? When we're
let's just do it now. Okay, let's do it right now.
All right, let's do it right now. You bring them up, and I will support you.
And I want to talk about the Academy version 2, the 10 years later relaunch, because that has been.
Okay.
I'm a bit nervous because as of this moment, recording it hasn't officially launched. But by the time we go live, it will have launched, and it was a crazy amount of work. Yeah, don't jinx it. All right, so
let's talk about Out the Allergy Cure. We did a bunch of interventions at the front.
Yeah, and actually, it was the last class before this one that we got the chance to film for the very first time an allergy cure on celery carrots. More like a food intolerance or food insensitive.
Where even smelling the celery
it would create a weird feeling. Not anaphylaxis or anything. You wouldn't want to test that without a doctor present. But so that was filmed. It was fantastic. It was really cool because it was the first time we filmed the demo and the aftermath where Ellie ate the celery.
Yeah.
And I've got the camera in his face going, how you doing? He goes, it's great. There's no problem at all. It's amazing.
Amazing.
And so
people are shocked that it can be done in 5 minutes.
We were talking about this, and one of the women in our class had an intolerance to lactose, and in fact,
it was terrible for her.
She's from an Indian background, loves Indian food, which they cook with a lot of cream and things like that.
Well, more in Thai food, but paneer, they put paneer in it, which is Indian
and I can't
cheese.
imagine not being able to eat Indian food. We love it so much, right?
Yeah.
So she was like, "Oh, if you could help me with this, that'd be amazing." So I immediately go, "Mike,
oh no, it's not Thai.
We have our demo subject for Thursday, or was it Friday? I don't remember.
Yeah, and she said her testing, her husband's an MD.
Her husband's a physician,
she went for blood tests and everything. They determined
8 blood draws over a period of like 4 hours.
And they said she was 100%
100%
sensitive to lactose.
100%
She'd
lactose
get
intolerant.
sick, she'd vomit if she had within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So we always tell people, unless it's just a mild thing, like, wearing rubber gloves makes your hands get itchy, always go back to your allergist and have them do a skin patch test and everything, because we do not cure anything. All we do is retrain the immune system through hypnosis and other methods.
And on this note, so I had asked her ahead of time, is this dose sensitive? In other words, if you eat a bit of, like a little bit of cheese versus a big chunk of cheese, is it going to make much of a difference? And the answer was no. I was surprised.
Yeah,
the answer was no. Like any amount seems to make me feel ill, and lately I've been barfing it up.
Yep.
It's like, okay, that's not good.
So I ran the allergy treatment on her.
Oh, and by the way, we should also say this was only like a 4-month-old problem. We don't know what triggered it, but it happened about 4 months ago.
Yeah, she said she had it when she had COVID.
Yeah, like it's sort of a aftermath of COVID kind of thing. But the blood work showed intolerance, clearly, and it was most of her life, all of her life, until, so she's in her 40s, and all of her life.
And with a medical
issue,
doctor for her husband who we
and
met.
Suddenly, here we are.
Right.
Well, gee, do you think the immune system somehow learned something new, something weird?
Yeah.
And we were able to retrain it with this. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I was.
Yes, you were. And it took 6 minutes.
Well, I didn't time it. But
I timed it.
And then I said, test it carefully if you're going to test it. Like, we take no responsibility. We always advise people, go to your doctor. But her husband doctor was there, too. Not in the room, but I saw him afterwards.
Yes.
He saw him
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
we
lobby.
met him after.
Yeah, and she said, they got rid of my allergy. Sort of looked surprised because it doesn't fit in the medical model. Anyway, she tested it. She went and ate a good-sized chunk of cheese.
Yeah, she went to Starbucks, I think she said, because I've got this on camera too, and she said, I ate my usual such and such a food, like lactose-free meal or whatever, but I also bought a thing of cheese, one of those individually wrapped chunks of cheese.
Yeah.
And she said she ate half of it. That's a decent amount of cheese. Like, that's way more than testing.
Right.
And 2 hours later reported, I feel nothing. Everything's fine.
Yeah. Fabulous.
Amazing.
I'm glad
so
for
it's
her.
really cool that you can change somebody that quickly. That took, I said 6 minutes. I think I lie. It was like 6 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay, I think it's all right. Anyone in the
Sorry,
MHA,
guys.
Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy, you'll gain access to that video. You'll be able to watch it and see it in real time. So anyway, what else, buddy? Anything else?
We also had an interesting one with, you remember Tom had his
fear of
rats and mice, which came way back to childhood. And
That's
I don't
usual.
think we got this on camera. We'll have to add that in as an intro or whatever. But he described a friend or something that put his finger to feed a pet mouse or something, and the mouse bit him on the finger
and held on, and he couldn't shake it off his hand.
So he was watching his friend experience this,
his friend screaming,
and that triggered the beginnings of the phobia in him as a young child.
Then it mapped across to rats as well as mice, and then maybe gerbils.
And you worked on him, and it was phenomenal. You did the double dissociation and the theater version of it. And at the end, he was happily, we didn't have a real rodent to test or something, but he was just imagining, and you could calibrate the difference, because when he started off imagining, well, man, you think you asked him, like, imagine there's just one running on your arm right now. He was all shuddered about it, right?
At the end, something we get an artifact for later. Yeah.
And what was it like at the end when you future-paced?
I said, if a mouse comes along now, he said, what did he say? I'd be kind to it or something. Or I'd be fine. Yeah. And he was just absolutely fine.
And obviously, guys, you can't necessarily just show up to a session with the thing that caused the phobic response and test it every single time. It's much more impressive when you can. I remember when I worked with a lady who had snake phobia, and I said, well, what if I was to show you even just a rubber snake? And she goes, no, like that. So at the end, I had one, and I knew, because I had one that I'd used as a prank on my kids and my wife and stuff. So I brought it with me, and at the end, I showed her the rubber snake, and she just laughed. It was like, oh, yeah, nothing. So, but we didn't have a rubber mouse or a rubber rat or anything.
Remember my fake rattlesnake, as in the podcast, had a little tail that would rattle. It was rubber.
Yeah.
And because it was tightly coiled, if I uncoiled it and just pushed, it would twist in my hands. And we were on a camping trip.
Oh, and it looks real.
Oh, it looks totally real.
Yeah.
On a camping trip, and I'd walk through the woods and I'd say, hey, come over here. And they go, oh, he's got a snake. That kid's got a snake. And I'd say, it's got a rattle on its tail. You don't think it's a rattlesnake, do you? I think it is. I say, well, I don't want to put it down.
You take it.
It tried to bite me. I need you to take, here, I don't want it. Take it. Chase them. I don't want it. Take the snake. It's trying to bite me.
And it's moving because of spring-loaded.
Twisted, yeah.
Oh, that's funny,
buddy,
Mike.
I probably caused so many snake phobias because I was 7 at that time.
So I
was 7 years old.
Therapist by day. Counter-therapist in the cabin.
Night, yeah.
Or at the cottage in the woods.
Well, let's get to our think tank words.
Before we do that, though, we still have to talk about MMHA. And then I swear we're going on to content here because it's important.
Go for it.
Holy moly. So we are, right now it is 2023. In 2013, so 10 years ago, we launched the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy. I describe it as following. We made a lot of students really upset back then. You know why? Well, they weren't upset with us. They were upset when they realized that they had, in some cases, spent as much as $10,000.
Yeah.
This is them telling us, not us making this up. $10,000 doing a hypnosis training at. And I'm not talking about some of our great friends who are awesome trainers who don't charge that much anyway.
Right.
I'm talking about, there's a couple of really big name schools out there that charge a lot of money. And then, I'm not going to name them, obviously.
You've said that 3 times now. You're going to name them.
But
right?
they graduate and then they say, you know what? I felt like it was a waste of my money. I didn't learn very much.
And then they had to keep paying a yearly fee after that.
Sometimes, like to maintain your certification or stuff. We didn't have a certification back then. But back then,
now.
So they found us. They got lifetime access to MMHA and said, oh my goodness, I wish I'd found you guys before. Now, we didn't exist before with the academy and all that. But as the years have gone on, 10 years, this has been consistent. People will spend ridiculous amounts of money on training and then come to us and go, why didn't I just find you guys sooner? Anyway, we weren't happy there. So 10 years later, we re-recorded the entire academy. It took us almost all of this year. We did it right here in this studio.
Grueling.
And it's now released. By the time this podcast is live, it's released. And in fact, like I said, on my whiteboard off to the side is all the stuff that I still have to do. And I have to admit, I'm kind of freaked out because it is Thursday today. We launched this early bird for in time with Black Friday next week. We have 1 week. 1 week to switch everything over. And it's all on me. There you go.
Choice
so that's
you
going to
made.
be fun. All right, let's talk about
That's great, man.
think tank words and then
we
relationships.
have upped the game. We brought in stuff that wasn't in it before, like
So
ego
much.
motor work and ego state stuff.
Yeah.
And it's excellent. Great quality. And our whole team of 9 has worked on this.
It's
And it's
fantastic.
been amazing. All right, Think Tank Words, done by,
All right.
not on Savo Bokacek's Think Tank, although I could have. It was just across the room. I just got in the habit of going
You're
to a
just
random
lazy,
noun
but you
generator.
admit it.
Lazy,
Okay.
yeah. So first one is priority. Second is T. And the third one is response. Okay, where do you
Okay.
start with priority, buddy?
Okay, so priority, it just makes me think of plug the biggest holes in your ship first.
That's a good point.
And that when we come to relationships, this is the point of this podcast, who are the priority people in your life? And what are the priority love languages that they speak? And what are the priority things that you need to do
Yeah, and how
to make
important
them
are they
better?
to you? Yeah, that's so well put that I can find no flaw in it despite
All
a
right.
determined effort. T.
Okay, do you want to take that one or do you want me
Yes,
to?
well, T. Right away, T. Being a Brit, T to me is all important. Not any tea. I'm not really a green tea fan. I like black tea. I like orange pekoe.
Orange pekoe, Earl Grey.
Yeah, well, Earl Grey has oil of bergamot added, so it's a black tea that is doctored
Nice.
with.
I didn't
It's
know
an
that.
afternoon tea. But tea to me, for 2, scary. I think it's going to win the song. Well, tea is loaded with antioxidants. It's
Yeah.
a staple in Britain and the British tea trade.
So stapling.
Stapling,
Yeah. No, no,
accidentally stapling
A
yourself.
staple of what's a staple in a relationship? What are the staples? What are the table stakes that need to be there?
That's very good. So
Table
you're tying
stakes.
it to that. That's
Yeah.
table stakes.
Yes,
I
'cause
like
we're
that.
going to relationships.
But tea is a daily thing for me, and it's
Rituals.
in the same way. It is a daily
Yes.
ritual about relationship
Comfort.
maintenance
Yeah.
and comfort and all of these things, which then leads to a response.
Well, I'll just throw in one more
Throw
on
in
tea,
one
which
more.
is tea is something that you steep. Now, too little steeping and you have weak sauce. Weak tea. Too much steeping and you have bitter. So there's a certain time dose. You need to have time together with people you're in a relationship with, and you need to have time apart.
Right. You
So
don't
gotta
want
have a
those
balance.
tannins creeping up.
Yeah,
too
you don't want
high.
to oversteep your relationship.
Wow.
There you go. Okay, now.
That should be a bumper sticker.
That is
Don't oversteep
Yeah,
your
that is
relationship.
great.
The Tea Foundation.
All right.
All right.
Response. The meaning of a communication is the response,
response,
it elicits. NLP
101.
principle. Yeah. What else you got there?
Nothing, man.
Do you have a response?
I don't have
All
a
right, let's
response.
move on.
I think it's good. I think it's good. We'll make it a priority to
Okay.
look for a response in this
Yes.
and
we
not
will.
talk about tea again. So the talking points, well, not yet anyway. Let's look at some of the really simple but effective, powerful ways to wreck all of your best relationships right now. Now, some of them you won't be able to wreck immediately. They're going to take some work.
Yeah.
And others you'll be able to decimate with just the tiniest bit of non-effort, really.
And remember, we aren't telling you that you shouldn't not consider avoiding any of these suggestions.
That's right.
right.
So first one, don't be present when someone is speaking. Just don't be mentally present. If you are present, the problem is you are now valuing the other person. So that's a definite mistake in any relationship you're trying
Sorry,
to
Mike, what were you
destroy.
saying? I was typing on my
Bastard.
BlackBerry.
Now, watch out.
It's
Bastard
scary.
off.
I think it was 10 years ago.
I actually told you to bastard off. I don't think I've ever said that in a podcast. Watch out for even seeming to listen, because it sends a signal that the other person actually matters. So to undermine the relationship, the first thing to do is to begin to ignore them in a conversation.
I really like this reframe of the things that will wreck your relationships, because getting serious for a moment, it's a nice reframe. If you avoid these things and you become conscious that you're not doing the listening, you can reframe in your mind going, actually, I'm not just not listening. I am actively freaking wrecking my relationship with my spouse or my friends or whatever the case may be here. Right? Yes. You just pretend. So this is really useful.
That's useful. Let's get to number 2. Talk about yourself a lot. Make it a point of turning every comment into an opportunity for self-reference. Remember, narcissism rules the day. Just take a look at George Noory.
I was about to make a joke about how I talk about... No, scary, too meta.
You didn't get the George Noory one?
No, I didn't get that. Who's George Noory?
Ryan and I went to the Queen Elizabeth Theatre at the exhibition grounds to hear George Noory from coast to coast. He took over from Marc Bell.
Who's George Noory?
They talk about, aliens and frickin'...
So he's some
flying saucers, and he's not a nutcase.
Okay.
He's the host of the show, and he does a good job. But he got up there and brought a keyboardist up, and he thinks he can sing.
Oh,
so
no.
before he started the discussion, he's got like 1,000 people there. He starts singing Elvis songs and thinking he's doing them really well. He did 3 freaking songs. He brought some guy's wife up from the audience, danced with her, and sang in her face.
Oh my goodness!
A woman next to me said,
people were not here for a
Eastern
musical
European
experience.
woman. She said, I didn't come to hear this crap. And she got out, and Ryan and I left. I said, no. I said, he's being a dick. And then the guy who ran the conference said, next year he's coming back. He's asked if he can sing 5 songs. It'd be like you or me going up. I'm not saying it wasn't even that good. And singing an Elvis song. Thinking people are into it. It's the classic case. I'm still on mic.
Yeah.
It's a classic case of mistaking politeness for interest.
Yes.
Nobody gave a rip.
Who's the chef that you've talked about, the one you love from the TV show? And
Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, Gordon Ramsay, that guy. Imagine going, I want to go to a Gordon Ramsay restaurant. This guy makes amazing food. But he instead comes out and plays guitar at you first for a little while. And he
That'd
sucks,
be awful.
that would be... like me trying to play guitar, not
Well,
very
you
good.
play pretty good now. Narcissism
a little
rules
bit
the day.
better, but
Watch out for
I
the
wouldn't.
self-reference.
Yeah, if people are coming to you for reason A and you intervene with reason unrelated B,
they'll like this instead.
They're gonna think you're an idiot. Okay,
so like this instead.
So
I was at a wedding once.
If they're talking about themselves, listen.
Yeah.
Act interested because you are genuinely interested.
Give them
Pretend
your
they're the most
attention.
fascinating
Giving and receiving
person.
attention is one of the human givens.
Right.
We were at a wedding years ago. Just 2 sentences here.
Okay.
And they decided there was going to be no booze and there was going to be no dancing.
Sounds fun.
So, yeah, it was a dead wedding. It was horrible. And one guy went up and spoke for about 20 minutes. Someone else came up and said to him, I'm going to stick a fork in you because you're done. Which is a great way to shut the person up. He was doing Ken Sweatman.
That's
But the
funny.
bottom line was he wasn't calibrating. He was turning everything into himself again.
Yeah.
This is the thing.
Yes.
And if someone asks you a question about themselves, we were thinking of going here, there. There's this vacation we want to do. Oh, we went on a vacation. It just totally drops what you're saying.
So the opposite of that, let's say in a new relationship where you want to make a good impression, that doesn't have to be romantic. It could be any kind of relationship. Ask people questions about themselves.
Yes.
And then show genuine interest. Not freaking...
Not George
Did I
Noory
ever tell you this
and
story?
Elvis.
Many years ago, when I used to still be a tech analyst and I would go to trade shows, I would ask people on the conference floor about products. And I needed to take notes, and I didn't have a note. I don't read my own writing very well, I kind of suck anyway, talking about myself. But I'd have my BlackBerry and I would type the notes there. And I would say, I just want to make sure I am listening to everything you're saying. I'm typing down notes. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, you tried that with me this morning with the coffee maker you were fixing. I'm talking to you, and you're underneath it swearing, trying to put these little pieces
But that would
on.
diffuse the thinking of, he's being
not-
rude.
yeah,
he's
yeah,
not
yeah.
listening. I want to head that off. So
Right.
make sure people understand you're actually listening.
Well, that ties in beautifully to the next one. To wreck your relationship, never, ever calibrate the other person's analog signals. Calibration can provide too much useful information about other people's needs, thoughts and feelings, it's far better to turn your attention inward because nothing is as fascinating as your own thoughts.
Oh
and
my
feelings.
goodness, this is so funny. Yes, so if you completely ignore the ability to calibrate the other person,
Yeah.
for example, when we're getting towards the end of this podcast and Mike's starting to get, really antsy wanting to go out for lunch, and I go, let's continue for another 20 minutes because I'm so involved in my own head thinking how amazing you all think we are, and he wants us to stop the podcast. I should not do that.
You're a bastard. All you've done is taken a backhanded shot at me and
No, I'm
cloaked it in
kidding.
something from this.
I'm so
we don't have to go out for lunch. I'll
No,
pop
I want
tea
to.
and
I
tell
want to
her
make
we're
it
not gonna be
clear
colonel
though.
bastards.
Usually it's my fault because we decide a budget. We go, okay, we're going to do 40 minutes on the podcast.
Never accept
And
blame.
so we get into 43, 44, 45 minutes.
Much
and
like
we've
now.
set a budget. Yeah, like we did today. And we're going to break it. But
We're breaking it.
and it's funny though because I'll be so enthusiastic about the fun we're having, not calibrating. It's time to end it.
Got to
Yeah.
starve on. Yeah. All right.
We're at work right now. I just want to say that.
Now listen, here's another one. Always take the better offer.
Oh.
If a friend asks you over for supper and at the last minute something better comes in, just cancel the first
just-
event.
just
Life is
don't-
short. Why would you miss out on a better evening that's not going to be as enjoyable?
And don't even, I'm sorry if I couldn't show up. A better offer came along.
That's right.
That's a nice way to make
My
people
dad
feel
taught me as a
valued.
kid. Well, he remembers his 2 rules for life. Go urinate when you can, not when you have
Go
to.
when you can, not when you have to.
Keep the communication lines open.
Yeah.
Always, no matter how much you argue, don't stop communicating.
Key to a successful marriage. And
Yeah, that's right. And the third one is always honor your first commitment.
That's-
Always. And that's a good one.
your father was a
He had
smart
a lot
freaking
of
dude.
wisdom. A lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
Of course, he did stare into blank eyes and
Yes, no, no, yes.
no, yes. I mean, all of that. There was
Is Bill
there were
coming
some-
over this afternoon?
No, he isn't.
Yes?
You got to say it right. Here, I'll do it. I'll do it. Is Bill coming over today?
No, Dad.
Yes. No.
The what do you call that?
Oh,
It's
do you
the
have an
opposite
exam
of
today?
It's the opposite
No,
of a
I don't.
vacant
Yes?
stare.
No.
What do you call the opposite of a vacant stare? Because this is what you're doing. This
It is
eyes wide open, sort of
Grinning.
delighted grin, grinning in the grinnery.
Okay, grinning in the grinnery. That's
Very
good.
funny.
Now look, here's the next one. Always put yourself first.
Yes,
Now,
cut in line.
Whether it's at the buffet table, the last glass of wine in the bottle, or it's simply the topic of conversation, make sure you're the one who benefits. Only idiots put others first.
Okay, I don't even have anything to say because we have too many points to get
Okay,
through
let's
here.
keep going.
But-
Make sure your significant other knows how amazing your last significant other was.
Oh, wow.
Ideally, they should feel like you're on the verge of leaving. Remember, instability is good in a relationship.
like when you call your wife your first wife just to keep her on her toes.
Oh, yeah, I'm married 42 years. She gets me calling her my first wife. I married the second one first. That's the key.
I tell you, yeah, you've been married how many years?
42 years.
Okay, I got married in 2001, so I just had my 22nd. Yeah, we're coming up to 23
You're getting
years.
old, bro.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
amazing.
just when you've been married that long, there's a lot that you can get away with in terms of humor because the last significant other was freaking decades ago. So obviously, there's a lot of joking
That's
that can
right.
be done. But don't do that. Yeah, don't do that in a new relationship. Bad
you
idea.
You certainly wouldn't want, go into considerable detail about the sexual prowess of your
My goodness.
previous. I mean, that
Yeah.
would probably be going too far and
Prowess.
could actually
All right.
ruin the relationship.
Yes.
All right, now look, how's this
Yeah,
one?
that's all.
Always wear the most expensive clothing you can afford and find a way to get the brand name and the cost into the conversation.
Oh,
Triggering
my
envy is as
goodness.
great a way to feel miles ahead of anyone as you can possibly get. Do with the brand names. This
Yes.
is saying,
This is Armani.
This isn't Armani. Yes,
I
this
got
cost
it.
me-
It was on sale
This
for
cost me
only $2,000. Yeah,
$2,800. Yeah. Make sure because
Yeah.
triggering envy is a great way to feel.
And that's
miles
actually a
ahead of
nice
everyone.
point that doesn't. A lot of these points, the first go to is always the husband wife romantic relationship, whatever. This is actually one that has nothing to do with that. This is the kind of thing that people would usually bring up to some sort of social conversation
Yep.
with people they just met. Oh, that's a nice suit. Oh, thank you. It was on sale for only ridiculous sum of money, and you look like a dick. You really do.
Well,
right?
there is.
Yeah.
You'd be one of those we call declover.
Yeah.
You don't want to be declover.
Okay.
Declover's bad, and so is Joculo. Okay, so look,
Okay.
how about this one? Make sure you show zero interest in any life improvements your friends and relatives have made. Don't make the mistake of checking out their new home renovation or expensive new vehicle. If you look at it, you'll have to comment, and that's not a good thing for your image. And bonus, if you do have to comment on someone else's success, make sure it's a low-key and always look for the worm in the apple. There's always something negative to talk about.
Man.
Too much appreciation of someone else's life will push you into the background,
So
and we
sort of
don't
like,
want that.
Yeah, Mike, I heard that you had a hypnosis class last week, and a few people came and had a reasonably good time.
Oh, bro, I got a worse one.
I'm
than
happy
that.
for you.
I got a
Yeah.
perfect example.
I'm really happy for you.
When we renovated our place,
Yeah.
the back, we moved the kitchen to the back. We made this beautiful French kitchen you know about.
Yes, it's beautiful.
It's a chef's kitchen. It's beautiful. With a sunroom with a fireplace. It was not expensive at the time. It would be more now. We did a great job. People were coming. We had friends over. Everybody wanted to see it. And one woman from a couple we'd no longer hang out with sat in the front of the house, would not even go into the back of the house.
That's so weird.
And so we hear a woman say to her, "Wow, didn't they do a great job on the reno?" This is an exact quote. She said, "So people are saying."
Like, that is
What
so
the
weird.
F is that?
Okay, I'm going to tell you the opposite of that.
I'm gonna
And
drink some coffee while you're
me
saying
being an Enneagram 9,
Yeah.
I think I do a reasonably good job a lot of the time, so that's why I'm sharing this, with doing the opposite of that. I'll give you a quick example. There
right.
was a man that had, we went over for dinner, and he's a physician, and he also had designed his own house. So he was like a hobby architect. But I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, hobby architect as in he doesn't get paid for it, but he's freaking genius.
Oh, so he
level.
did designs, he knows his stuff. Yeah.
He many houses. This guy's awesome. Like,
Excellent.
And so I said, hey, you designed this. He showed me around. Of course, I want to make sure that I express how much how I'm so impressed, because so ask a question. How do you do it? You don't just say, "Oh, this is amazing. I'm so impressed with your skill." I said, "This is amazing. How did you get interested in architecture?" As someone in the medical community, this is
Right.
not a common thing. How did you get involved in that? Because I figured there's a story behind it, right? Like, probably growing up, you're always building stuff, and there was a separate interest. And that is a much more engaging way. That's just the way I don't think about it and go, "Gee, I want to build rapport here. I'm going to ask this
Right.
question." It's unconscious.
It was
I just
just a
do this
natural thing
stuff.
for you. And you know who else is
Because
like
when
that?
people have amazing skills,
They
ask
should be
them how
honored.
they got
Yes.
interested in that.
Find out.
They'll want to talk about it.
Do you know who else does that too? Another 9,
Who?
a great guy, Al Pierce.
Yes.
Lisa's husband,
Yes.
and he's great. He engages people. He asks them about himself. He's so likable because he gets people to talk to him.
Yeah.
My Aunt
Now-
Sheila was the same. She couldn't sit on a bus without the person next to her telling him her life story.
Do you know what? Yeah, it just occurred to me that
Uh-oh,
a
this is
really
dangerous.
good skill to have is the asking the question about the thing that you want to, instead of just giving a straight up compliment, maybe give the compliment, but also ask a question about it. Then get good at making eye contact with people and getting comfortable maintaining eye contact. Because how many times have you seen people and they kind of can't keep the eye
Yeah, they got the
focus?
furtive thing going.
When you get
I just think they're guilty.
comfortable
They're
looking
murderers
at
or
other
something.
people in the eye.
Yeah.
You can dart away for a moment and come back.
Yeah.
Just to reset, because it's kind of awkward.
'Cause it's
otherwise.
awkward.
But it's a good thing to get used to. And Al does that very well. He doesn't just ask you a question and sort of
No,
look
he
away.
engages. He actually
looks,
engages.
smiles, and not grins, but smiles
not
and
grinning in
nods.
the grinnery,
He smiles
like
and
Jack's
nods,
a
and he's
frickin'
paying
grinner.
genuine attention. You feel
Yeah.
like the guy cares.
He does.
Because he does.
He does.
Yeah.
Super
Anyways,
nice
be
guy.
like that.
Super nice guy. Oh, here's one for you. Always be the. Oh, you didn't really comment about "so people are saying."
So people
Isn't
are
that,
saying.
Like,
Yeah.
jealous or what? Okay, listen. Always be the one. Always be the one
Mm-hmm.
who decides which restaurant, movie, concert, or other event a group should go to.
Never ask.
Why waste time letting other people decide what to do when you're more important than them and will make the best choice for everyone?
Oh, that's so funny. It's a great example of the overall theme of not caring or asking, or at least demonstrating that you don't care because you don't ask what other people think. Valuing
Well,
other people's opinions.
Valuing their appearance, opinions. Now,
Valuing their appearance or
Yeah, well,
opinions.
you want to do that
Yeah.
too. Never be available. Not if someone has a problem anyway.
Yeah.
Helping other people may offer you the chance to feel superior to someone with a problem, but it's largely a waste of your valuable time.
The opposite of that is when you want someone to be available, maybe explain the reason instead of, "Hey, can you give me a call right now?"
That would be nice.
I don't like when people text me and go, "Can you call me when you have a moment?"
Oh, it's terrible.
I hate it. It's sort of like,
it's like garlic loop. I
Yeah.
hate it when it's a phone message and they say, "Okay, could you give me a call? This is really, really important." We
Yeah.
could have just said one other sentence. It's about your uncle's, foot cancer or something.
Yeah.
They don't have to say, it's important, you know.
Could be anything. Yeah. The real estate lawyer has a quick question.
Yeah.
Can you give me a call when you have a chance?
Thank you.
Something like that.
You got
right?
a real estate lawyer?
Well, we had one when we bought real estate.
There you go. Now, here's another one. You're like
It's not
this.
like they're on retainer or something.
Right. Well, that's it. You're paying $1,000 a week. Keep on retainer.
Oh, yeah. I got a really
you're
good
not the
deal,
mom,
Mike, on
you
my
know?
real estate lawyer. I've got the firm on retainer for only $10,000 a month. That's how important
Look
I
how you're
am.
furrowing the brow, really, to make the point.
Yeah,
The snide.
don't do that
How about
stuff.
this? A great way to throw a friendship off the rails is to diss a good friend in front of his new girlfriend. I know guys who've done this. She'll laugh to be a good sport when you make him look stupid, and she probably likes you better anyway. Who knows? She might even leave him for you, at least until you find someone better. I know guys who do this. They meet your girlfriend and they've taken shots at me when I had a new girlfriend to make me look bad, and then she laughs to be polite, and they think that she likes them.
Okay.
Now. The number of guys I've nearly killed in heaven.
Because we just got back a few weeks ago from Timothy's wedding, I'm thinking weddings, and I was thinking it's customary to roast the groom and stuff like that.
Pretty
right?
much, yeah.
But what you're describing is treating every day like it's freaking wedding day. Roasting the groom. He's not even married yet.
Yeah.
He just started dating this girl. And you're just taking shots at him thinking you're hilarious. You're really just a dick.
That's it again. And you don't want to be DeClover.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that, and you certainly don't want to be Jacquilo.
Okay.
Okay, so here's another one. How about dropping the atom bomb?
Uh-oh.
This is a simple but very effective way to screw up your friendship with someone. Just mention that one thing that really upsets him or her and that they never want to discuss in public.
The one
Put
thing
it
that
on
you've
the-
agreed will never be
Yes,
discussed in
put
public.
it on the table.
Yeah.
After all, nobody's going to tell you that you can't talk about something
Yeah.
just because it bothers someone else.
Yeah, and
That
just
has happened to me.
Certainly don't do it with the, well, I wasn't going to bring up topic XYZ, but now I am.
That happened to me, and I won't go into it, but it actually almost ruined a Christmas Eve.
Oh, not good.
Yeah.
Yikes.
But it didn't. Okay, now look, how about this one? Subtle body language or facial expressions can really wreck things quickly. You're rolling his eyes.
Yeah.
When a friend says something, simply look at the others and smile knowingly. It'll put his paranoia through the roof as he wonders what you've all been discussing behind his back. Rolling your eyes as you smile will make it even more effective. So he just makes a comment and you all look at each other.
It's like that time when you were in your 20s and the guy's holding court and you walk
vase.
gesturing, grand, and you walk over to the fireplace and just
Move the vase an
vase a
inch.
few inches. Yeah, just in
And
case.
so he's in danger of
Yeah.
knocking it over.
And he goes, "What are you doing?" And you
What'd you
said,
do that for? I said, it's okay. Go ahead. You're enjoying yourself. In other words, everyone else isn't enjoying it. We find it funny that you're
"Don't
just talking.
do that to people you
He
care
was a
about."
dick.
Yes. Oh, we get to say that a lot in this podcast.
He bordered on being DeClover.
Okay.
And also
let's move
Jacquilo.
on.
Now, look, that's the last time I'll say Jacquilo. Oh,
apparently-
said it again. Now, how about this one? Whenever you borrow something from someone else, don't be in a big hurry to give it back.
I mean, they're not going to ask.
After all, there were no time constraints put on you when you borrowed it, right?
It's
If
on a
you
contract.
keep the item long enough, it becomes yours by default anyway.
Pretty much.
But when someone borrows something from you, make sure to photograph them holding it and begin demanding its return within 2 days.
You take photos when people borrow stuff from you, but only because so much history of people never returning stuff.
Things like timeline therapy.
Yeah, obviously.
Course or
Yeah,
something.
you just do
Who
it as a
did I
joke.
lend
You
it
go,
to?
"Hey, hold that in your
Because I'm
hand."
a nice guy and lend it, and they say, "Well, who did the?" Yeah, you know what drove me nuts? Years ago, I got Encyclopedia Britannica, the big hardcover thing.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
loved
yeah.
it. It was just to browse was fabulous. I've had it for 2 days. I come home, there's a volume missing. I said, "Where is it?" Heather said,
Oh, I
so and
lent
so.
it to
so and so
so-and-so.
asked if she could borrow it.
Which is like
I said,
wrecking it because
yeah,
it's no
even
longer
a
complete.
library doesn't lend individual volumes of an encyclopedia.
Yeah.
And I got over it quickly because Heather
ever
was
get it back?
watering. Yeah, that day.
Okay.
Heather was watering all the plants on top of my bookcase, overdid it, and they overflowed into my encyclopedias and warped them all. So then I lost interest in them.
Oh, that's
And
horrible.
the Jacquelos.
That's the
All
worst.
right, here. So how about this one? Here's another good one. Whenever a friend complains about anything, no matter how serious, accuse him of always being so negative. If you complain and he does it back to you, accuse him of being heartless and insensitive.
Oh, man. This
This is a variation on a Monopoly thing. Whenever I'd play Monopoly, I'd use power of suggestion, hypnotic language. Moore used to go through the roof furious because he'd always say he never lost.
Yeah.
When he was negotiating, I'd always accuse him of taking the game too seriously. It's only a game.
Yeah.
When I'd negotiate, it'd be so completely cutthroat.
So when people are discussing ideas
We're at work right
and
now.
somebody gets negative and
Yeah.
I immediately go, black hat, which is from Edward de Bono's lateral thinking or six thinking hats.
Yeah.
The black hat is the
negative,
negativity.
looking for what's wrong.
Yeah. And so when I go, oh, black hat, you're wearing the black hat, maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I shouldn't be saying that as my go-to statement.
Probably if you go to, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when a friend gets new clothing or perhaps a new pair of glasses, simply burst out laughing when you see him. Then apologize, but double over and laugh silently every few minutes.
Oh, okay.
Now, that happened to me.
That's funny.
That biatch of a woman who said,
Who are we
so
talking
people
about?
are saying.
This lady.
We were in the same church for a while. I showed up with a handmade suit.
Yes.
That the maestro, we call him, this Italian tailor in town, made for me. It was fantastic.
Was it awesome?
It was for on stage.
Oh,
So it was like a cranberry color, worn with a black shirt. She just sees me, bursts out laughing. It was the funniest thing she's ever seen. And she did the same thing. I had a pair of Jean-Pierre Gaultier glasses before I had LASIK. Put them on. She did the same, just bursts out laughing. Like, isn't that...
She was jealous, obviously.
Just terrible.
Okay,
terrible.
so what is the opposite of that? If you calibrate some change, new hairstyle, new clothes,
give
say,
a
hey,
genuine compliment, a genuine. Don't flatter people. People see through that.
That is something like, instead of saying, "Oh, that's a really nice suit," you can say, "Oh, the hand threading on that lapel, I freaking love that. Who did that for you?"
Give them put them in a nice suit. You can't give them a proper sense of humor.
But do you understand?
Yes, I do.
It's not just
that's
compliment.
handmade. That's beautiful. You're commenting.
That's stitching. I love it. I've always wanted a suit like that. Where did you get that made?
But do you like the cleverness here? You burst out laughing when you see it, and then you apologize. But double over and laugh silently every few minutes. You look at them again, and you're just like, it's like some funny thing. Okay. Remind me when we're at Colonel Bastards to tell you about the guy on the subway. It's one of these.
Subway guy. Okay,
this is public consumption.
All right, what else have we got
Most
here?
of our lives are.
I'm enjoying this.
How about this
I love that you plan these
Thanks,
podcasts
buddy.
and I just show up.
A great one to use is when a friend swears you to secrecy about something, make sure you go and tell it to several people right away.
Well, you know, my mom's favorite joke is?
What?
One of her favorite jokes. It's a great one. It's, you know what the definition of a secret is, Mike?
Something
you tell one person at a time. Something you only tell one person at a time.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah.
She's a clever
And that's
woman.
basically it. It's a secret. Oh, okay. And then you just, one person, and then all of a sudden everyone knows and they're coming at you.
People in churches.
And they'll never forgive you. They'll never trust you
People
again.
in churches are notorious for this.
Yeah.
It's called I'm only telling you this so you can pray about it.
Yeah.
That's how you justify. But you know what? This thing about secrecy. My friend James, the one who lives in Dubai, super smart, his PhD from University of Edinburgh, and that his mom would always say, "Okay, keep it to yourself." And they would say things about someone he would never know, like a waitress in Reading, England.
Yeah, like you're never
keep
going
it to yourself. Yeah. Her husband.
That's actually,
he set his pajamas on fire.
Turn that to a really hilarious pattern.
James made it hilarious. He started doing it in a restaurant. Yeah. They say, "Okay, you have a hamburger. What are you going to have, James?" He said, "Okay, keep it to yourself." And
then he orders his menu.
To the waiter.
Orders his menu. Let's do that. That's funny.
Now listen, here's the thing.
That's almost as funny as when we're driving around and we roll down the window with the electric button and we yell science at people. Yeah.
Like Magnus Pike. Now look, you missed half of this.
Okay.
When a friend swears you secrecy, make sure to go and tell several people right away. When he finds out and is hurt and enraged, say something cryptic like, "I thought you'd be glad that we care about you." When he gets even angrier, act tired of the whole thing and tell him to grow up.
Or say,
tell him to grow up.
Aren't you glad in a weird kind of way?
In a weird kind of way. Okay,
yeah, tell somebody's worst secret ever, and then when they find out, you say, "Aren't you glad in a weird kind of way?"
And keep going until they finally say, "I guess I am in a weird kind of way."
Yeah.
All right, how about this one? We're getting near the end here. We're going to go
way overboard, but this is fun. Okay.
How about this one? Inappropriate gifts are a great way to put friction in a friendship. A membership to a shoe appreciation society, a blackhead extractor, or a package of Viagra will work wonders.
Oh, that's like
a blackhead extractor.
That's like
I got you a Christmas present.
You're buying, a vacuum cleaner for your wife on Christmas kind of thing. Like that.
Well, this happened to Kenny Upton. His brother got these amazing Christmas presents. He opens his. And he said,
"Blackhead extractor?"
I saw it on video. He goes, "Wow, Dad, Mom, yeah, wow, that's wow. What is it?" And they said, "It's a trouser press." And they said, "Actually, son, to be honest, it's a yard sale item." So his brother got all these power tools. He got a freaking yard sale trouser press that he'll never use. It's like, sorry by saying his name, but
oh man, I didn't get my workout in today so far, but I'm having a really great ab workout right now.
Practical jokes can really ruin things in a relationship if the other person has a limited sense of humor. Try putting a condom in his food and then film his outrage when he finds it. Now,
Biting
remember
into
Bob
a
Gray
hamburger.
and Greg Godovich from Gatto? We used to
yeah,
do that.
yeah.
We used to do it all the time. So one guy would get up in a restaurant. We did it at the Eaton Center in Elephant and Castle. Bob gets up to use the washroom. Greg runs into the kitchen with a condom, tells the chef, gives him $20, put this in his
the
food.
burger. And the guy did it?
Bob had a meat pie, and the guy baked it inside. He take the crust off. So Bob's eating it with his fork. And the guy, like this, it's a condom with a knot tied in it, stuck to his fork. And he goes, Bob was hilarious. He goes, oh, hello, waiter, there's a condom in my food.
Because it was a common experience.
Right, but it got funnier because we had a secret society, me, Greg Godovich, and Bob Gray, and we called ourselves the Knights of the Condom Pie based on that.
Goodness,
And what we
okay.
would do, I got him at the Blue Jays game at Skydome.
No.
He ordered a sausage. I rolled a condom onto his sausage, put the mustard and everything on, and he's biting this thing. He can't bite through it.
And just like hidden so that it's sort
just
of
rolled onto it and inside the bun.
But
so
the,
he's biting,
but the
he can't-
first bite would be
you can't bite through it. She's gnawing on a condom. I mean, brilliant
That's
joke.
horrible.
Okay, now look.
Oh man.
Listen, if this has offended you in any way, you need to grow up.
Yeah, we're not
you need
concerned.
to grow up.
You can email
Now,
us, but we won't
2 to
respond.
go.
Yeah.
Make sure you mismatch the other person. Be contrary. Never, under any circumstances, mirror them. If they're standing, you sit.
Right?
What? Yeah, right.
Right.
Ideally, you should hold a mental picture of the other person as being the stupidest, least interesting person you've ever met, and this will switch off your mirror neurons. I nearly told
Okay,
you.
that's very funny.
And finally, on the other hand, if your relationships, friendships are deemed worthy of hanging on to, do the opposite of everything on this list. Treat your friends or relatives with respect, honesty, and appreciation.
Well, I just want to say
Here we
how
go.
much I appreciate you making all of the notes for this podcast. It has been tremendous fun. And
buddy.
accepting all of the suggestions over the years, like, let's actually use 2 microphones instead of 1. Remember, you used to hunch over a blue snowball microphone for the
Yes,
first, 100
that's right.
episodes?
With our
And
heads in a
then,
cardboard box.
hey, we should do a video podcast. Thank you,
Yeah.
Brian, for suggesting
Yeah,
that
we
to
should
us.
bill in American dollars.
This is, yeah, it's a funny thing because, people get confused by the Canadian dollar if they're in the United States or a lot of other countries. Anyway,
Well,
that's,
I'm not
that's a
surprised.
topic for another.
We live in an essentially stupid country now, so it's all right. It was
Yeah.
a great country. I think
It was.
It's become
Yeah.
dickish.
It's being
I won't go
wrecked
there
by-
because
yeah.
I am Switzerland. We do not have political views.
Except for the ones that we just have that
mentioned.
we
Yeah.
talk about. Yeah.
So, Chris, give us the
Oh
empowering
my goodness!
question.
All right,
Now,
here's
we're
the
gonna
empowering
close this
question.
pecker down.
We want to say to you: ask yourself who, which is to say, which person in my life could most benefit by me not applying any of these ridiculous techniques from this podcast, and how will that cause me to benefit too?
Absolutely fantastic. You have been listening to the Brain Software Podcast emanating from Toronto, Canada, the Hypnotic World Epicenter. This has been episode 242. That's Fritz Thompson. I'm Jeff Mandel. And we want to say to you, thanks once again.
And go to the Mike Mandel HypnosisAcademy.com, MMHA, sign it up. It's version 2, and good night.
Yeah.